हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। अब हम स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं अपनी यूपीएलटी ग्रेड की टेस्ट सीरीज़। इसमें मैंने जो है एग्ज़ाम के अकॉर्डिंग ही क्वेश्चन लिए हैं। 30 क्वेश्चंस मैंने लिए हैं इसमें जीएस के, और बाकी के हमारे रहेंगे हमारा जो सब्जेक्ट है इंग्लिश के। डेली शाम के समय जो एक वीडियो आएगी टेस्ट सीरीज़ की, और दिन के वक्त हमारी जो है जो भी हमारा सब्जेक्ट रिलेटेड है उसकी वीडियोस में आती रहेंगी। तो चलिए हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। The doctrine of basic structure of the Indian Constitution was propounded by the Supreme Court in A. Keshavanand Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973, B. Golaknath versus State of Punjab 1967, C. Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980, or D. A. K. Gopalan versus State of Madras 1950. So right answer is A. Keshavanand Bharati versus State of Kerala. Which article of Indian Constitution deal with the abolition of untouchability? A. Article 17, B. Article 15, C. Article 21, or D. Article 19. So right answer is A. Article 17. The Mandal Commission 1980 recommended reservation for OBC as the basis primarily of A. Social and educational backwardness, B. Economic criteria only, C. Caste lineage only, or D. Representation in legislature. So right answer is A. Social and educational backwardness. Next question is, the Green Revolution in India primarily succeeded first in which of the following crops? A. Rice, B. Wheat, C. Cotton, or D. Maize. So right answer is B. Wheat. तो पहला जो ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन था वो कौन सी क्रॉप में सक्सेसफुल रहा था? व्हीट में। नेक्स्ट इज विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग रिवर डज नॉट ओरिजिनेट इन इंडिया? कौन सी ऐसी रिवर है जो इंडिया में ओरिजिनेट नहीं होती? ए. ब्रह्मपुत्रा, बी. गंगा, सी. गोदावरी, और डी. कृष्णा। सो राइट आंसर इज ए. ब्रह्मपुत्रा. The Kyoto Protocol 1997 relates to A. Reduction of greenhouse gas emission, B. International trade tariffs, C. Nuclear non-proliferation, and D. Protection of endangered species. So right answer is A. Reduction of greenhouse gas emission. तो जो Kyoto Protocol 1997 है वो ग्रीन हाउस गैस एमिशन के रिडक्शन से रिलेटेड है। The Integrated Child Development Service (ICDS) scheme was launched in India in the year 1975, 1978, 1985, or D. 1990. So right answer is B. 1978. The concept of positive discrimination in public policy is best aligned with constitutional principle. A. Equality of opportunity, Article 16, right against exploitation, Article 23, right to freedom, Article 19, or D. freedom of religion, Article 25. So the answer is A. Equality of opportunity, Article 16. Which Indian economic measure is primarily used to measure inflation of retail consumer level? A. Wholesale price index WPI, B. Consumer price index, C. Producer price index, or D. GDP deflator. So right answer is B. Consumer price index. The term stagflation referred to A. High inflation with low economic growth and high unemployment, B. High growth with low inflation, C. Low inflation with high employment, or D. Hyperinflation with full employment. So right answer is A. High inflation with low economic growth and high unemployment. The principle of subsidiary in governments most closely means A. Decision making at the lowest effective level, B. Centralization of authority at the national level, C. Federal government supremacy over state, or D. Judicial control over executive decision. So the answer is A. Decision making at the lowest effective level. Which chemical element is the principal component used in modern high capacity lithium ion batteries? Positive electrode or cathode? A. Cobalt, lithium cobalt oxide, B. Lead, C. Nickel cadmium, D. Zinc. So the answer is A. Cobalt, lithium cobalt oxides. Consider social indicator which of the following best capture the concept of dependency ratio? A. Ratio of non-working young and old to working age population, B. Ratio of GDP to population, C. Ratio of employed to unemployed, or D. Ratio of total birth of death. So right answer is A. Ratio of non-working to working age population. And in international law, the responsibility to protect doctrine primarily addresses A. Prevention of mass atrocities and protection of civilians where the state fails, B. Trade relation among nations, C. Maritime boundaries dispute, D. Intellectual property right enforcement. So right answer is A. Prevention of mass atrocities and protection of civilians when the state falls. The term shadow banking referred to A. Non-banking financial intermediaries that provide service similar to traditional bank but outside non-formal banking regulation. B. Illegal money lending only. C. Central bank operation only. Or D. Banking in dark pools of security trading. So right answer is A. Non-banking financial intermediaries that provide service similar to traditional bank but outside normal banking regulation. Which Indian amendment introduced the Good and Service Tax effectively by amending the Constitution? A. 101 Amendment, B. 92 Amendment, 42 Amendment, 73rd Amendment. So right answer is A. 101st Amendment. Which of the following is the function of the International Government Panel on Climate Change? A. Assess scientific information related to climate change. B. Enforce emission standard on countries. C. Provide loans for green project. And D. Set trade sanction for polluters. So right answer is A. Assess scientific information related to climate change. The two-child population as a population control measure in some Indian state is an example of A. Incentive-disincentive based public policy aimed at demographic control. B. A centrally mandated constitutional amendment. C. A taxation measure only. Or D. A judicial directive. So right answer is A. Incentive-disincentive based public policy aimed at demographic control. The flight to quality is financial market usually occur when the investors shift from risky asset to safer asset during market stress. B. Investors seek high risk startup in bullish market. C. A country's GDP growth increase drastically. Or D. Interest rates rise in safe asset only. So right answer is A. Investors shift from risky asset to safer asset during market stress. Which organism is used as the main model in much genetic research for developmental biology? A. Drosophila melanogaster fruit fly. B. Escherichia coli bacterium. C. Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast. And D. Arabidopsis thaliana plant. So right answer is A. Now next is the doctrine of lapses was associated with the expansion policy of A. the British East Company under Laz Dalhousie. B. the Maratha Confederacy. C. the French in Pondicherry. And D. the Portuguese in Goa. So right answer is A. the British East India Company under Lord Dalhousie. The prisoner in dilemma is a classic example in game theory illustrating why two rational individuals might not cooperate even if it in their best interest. B. Calculus of variation. C. Thermodynamics. And D. Quantum mechanics. So right answer is A. Game theory illustrating why two rational individuals might not cooperate even if it is in their best interest. Which of the following best describe the Gini coefficient? A. A measure of income or wealth inequality with the nation. B. A measure of economic growth rate. C. A measure of trade surplus. And D. A health index measuring morbidity. So right answer is A measure of income or wealth inequality with the nation. 24. The Swachh Bharat Mission in India majorly target improvement in A. Sanitation and elimination of open defecation. B. Industrial production efficiency. C. Monetary policy reform. And D. Rural electrification exclusive. So right answer is A. Sanitation and elimination of open defecation. Which article grant the Parliament the power to make loans subject in the state list in the national interest? A. Article 249, B. Article 356, C. Article 352 and D. Article 368. So right answer is A. Article 249. The El Nino Southern Oscillation phenomena primarily affect A. Global weather pattern including monsoon variability, B. Plate tectonic movement, C. The Earth magnetic field and D. Atmospheric ozone concentration only. So right answer is A. Global weather pattern including monsoon variability. A progressive tax is one where tax rate increase with income, tax rate is flat across the income, tax rate decrease with income, and D. Tax rate applies only to consumption. So right answer is A. Tax rate increase with income. The concept of just noticeable difference pertain to psychophysics, the minimal change in stimulus that can be detected, microeconomics, price elasticity, astrophysics, minimal change in luminosity detection, and D. Constitutional law, minimal change in saturatory tax. So right answer is A. Psychophysics, the minimal change in stimulus that can be detected. Which one of the following international treaties specifically seek to eliminate discrimination against women? A convention of the elimination of all form of discrimination against women, Kyoto Protocol, Geneva Convention 3rd, and Montreal Protocol. So right answer is A. Convention on the Elimination of All Form of Discrimination Against Women. W. Economic concept primarily referred to A. Sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihood and jobs, and ocean eco health. Large-scale hydrogen project only. Renewable energy from wind turbine on land, and D. Monetary policy for maritime oceans. So right answer is A. Sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihood, jobs, and ocean ecosystem health. सो अब हमारा स्टार्ट होता है सेक्शन बी इंग्लिश लिटरेचर, जिसमें 120 क्वेश्चंस मैंने लिए हैं और थोड़े डिफ़िकल्ट लेवल जो है मैंने थोड़ा डिफ़िकल्ट रखा है. सो स्टार्ट करते हैं. विच रेनेसांस क्रिटिक famously asserted poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling. Actually, the phrase belongs to later romantic poet. Identify the correct poet who used this phrase. A. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, B. William Wordsworth, C. Percy Bysshe Shelley, and D. John Keats. So, right answer is B. William Wordsworth. In Aristotle Poetic, the term catharsis is used to denote A. purgation of emotion, particularly by pity and fear through art, B. comedy as corrective of vice, C. satire, moral instruction, and D. rhetorical persuasion in tragic speech. So, right answer is A. purgation of emotion, particularly pity and fear through art. Negative capability is a critical term coined by John Keats to describe the capacity to remain in uncertainties without irritable reaching after the fact and reason. B. T.S. Eliot to describe fragmentation in modern poetry. C. Matthew Arnold to describe culture unrest. And D. Harold Bloom to describe anxiety of influence. So, right answer is A. John Keats to describe the capacity to remain in uncertainties without irritable reaching after the fact and reason. The New Criticism school emphasizes A. close reading and the autonomy of the text. Textual analysis without authentication or historical context. B. The author's biography as central to remaining. C. Reader emotional response as primary. And D. The Marxist historical materialism as primary tool. So, right answer is A. In structural linguistics, Ferdinand de Saussure distinguished between language and parole. What do they mean? So, lingua meaning underlying language system, parole actual speech, act or usage. Lingua spoken dialect, parole writing form only. Lingua universal grammar, parole child language acquisition. D. Lingua performate utterance, parole constitutive utterance. So, right answer is A. Underlying language system and parole is actual speech, act or uses. Which literary critic coined the term mirrored stage? Applied to subject formation, influential psychoanalytic reading. A. Jacques Lacan, B. Sigmund Freud, C. Roland Barthes, and D. Michael Foucault. So, right answer is A. Jacques Lacan. T.S. Eliot critical essay Tradition and the Individual Talents argue that क्या argue करता है? A poet work must be judged in relation to a literary tradition and the poet impersonality is crucial to poetic creation. Tradition is irrelevant to modern poetry. Poet must only focus on personal confession. Or D. Poetry should mimic nature exactly. So, right answer is A. A poet work must be judged in relation to a literary traditional and the poet's impersonality is crucial to poetic creation. In literary studies, intertextuality denotes the shaping of a text meaning by other text, reference or echoing others. B. The internal unity of a single text alone. C. Only paratextual element like titles and preface. And D. A stylistic device is limited to parody. So, right answer is A. Which theoretical school emphasizes how language constructs social reality and power relation and was heavily influenced by Foucault and discourse analysis? A. Post-structuralism, B. Formalism, C. New criticism, and D. Renaissance humanism. So, right answer is A. Post-structuralism. Who wrote the line, "No man is an island"? John Donne, Andrew Marvell, George Herbert, or John Milton? So, right answer is A. John Donne. The Anagnorisis is a classic tragedy referred to A. Recognition or discovery, often of identity or true nature by a character, the final catastrophe or death only, the comic resolution of conflict, a chorus lamentation. So, right answer is A. Recognition or discovery, often of identity or true nature by a character. Which novel is widely considered the first modernist novel for its stream of consciousness technique and complex interior monologue? A. Ulysses by James Joyce, B. Moby Dick by Herman Melville, C. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë, D. Middlemarch by George Eliot. So right answer is A. Ulysses by James Joyce. The anapest is the metrical form consisted of two unstressed syllables followed by one stressed followed by one stressed followed by two unstressed or four stressed syllable. So right answer is A. Two unstressed syllable followed by one stressed. Which poet wrote the sequence sonnet from Portuguese? A. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, C. Christina Rossetti, C. Hamlet Bonnet, or D. Charlotte Bonnet. So right answer is A. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Who articulated the anxiety of influence as a central mechanism in literary history? A. Harold Bloom, B. Northrop Frye, C. M.H. Abraham, or D. Kenneth Brooke. So right answer is A. Harold Bloom. In Derridian theory, difference primarily indicates the idea that meaning is produced through difference and is always different, never fully present. A stable meaning behind text. C. The complex transparency of language. D. A type of meter in poetry. So right answer is A. That the idea that meaning is produced through difference and is always different, never fully present. Which of the following work is an example of restoration comedy? A. The Way of the World by William Congreve, B. Hamlet by William Shakespeare, C. She Stooped to Conquer by Oliver Goldsmith, or D. The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. So right answer is A. The Way of the World by William Congreve. In post-colonial criticism, Edward Said Orientalism argued that the West constructed stereotypic paratized representation of the East as to way, dominate and control it. B. Eastern texts are superior to Western one. Colonialism had purely economic motive only, not culture one. Nation states are relevant to literary theory. So right answer is A. Which modern novel famously experiment with free indirect discourse to present character consciousness blended with narration? A. Emma by Jane Austen, B. The Color Purple by Alice Walker, C. The Great Gatsby by F. Scofield, and D. White Sargasso by Jean Reed. So right answer is A. Emma by Jane Austen. The term Bildungsroman referred to A novel of formation of coming of age that traces the protagonist's psychological and moral growth, B. A novel purely about political revolution, C. A lyrical poem about nature, and D. A dramatic monologue only. So right answer is A novel of formation और coming of age, यानी कि बॉय से लेके बात तक की जो एक इंसान की कहानी होती है उसे बिल्डिंग्सरोमन कहते हैं. Who wrote the influential textbook The Anxiety of Influence? A. Harold Bloom, B. F. R. Lewis, C. Raymond Williams, and D. Kenneth Brooke. So right answer is A. Harold Bloom. The literary device expresses signifies a verbal description of a work of visual art within a literary text using multiple narrator in a novel. C. A structuralist method for reading folklore, or D. The use of stream of consciousness technique. So right answer is A. Which play is an example of absurdist drama? Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, B. The Crucible by Arthur Miller, C. A Dollhouse of Henry Ibsen, and D. Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. So right answer is A. The Death of the Author is an essay written by A. Ronald Barthes, B. F. R. Lewis, C. T. S. Eliot, or D. M. H. Abraham. So right answer is A. Ronald Barthes. Which novel opened with "It was the best of time, it was the worst of time"? A. Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, Bleak House by Charles Dickens, Great Expectation by Charles Dickens, or David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. So right answer is A. Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. The grotesque as a mode in literature often involve combining the comic and the tragic in unsettling way to challenging norms, strict moral realism only, pastoral idealizing exclusively, purely romantic sentimentality. So right answer is A. Who composed the influential formalist concept of deformalization? A. Victor, B. Northrop Frye, C. I. A. Richard, or D. F. R. Lewis. So right answer is A. Which work is central to feminist literary criticism concerned with language and gender? 1967 and 1970. A. The Mad Woman in the Attic, B. The Iliad, C. Paradise Lost, and D. Utopia. So right answer is A. Which romantic poet wrote the sonnet sequence on first looking into Chapman's Homer? A. John Keats, B. William Wordsworth, C. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, or D. P.B. Shelley. So right answer is A. John Keats. Which novel is an example of social realism exploring industrialization and class in the 19th century of England? Hard Times by Charles Dickens, Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, or D. Dracula by Bram Stoker? So right answer is A. The term paratext, elements like preface, title, dedication, was theorized by Garrett Janet, B. Harold Bloom, C. Ronald Barthes, and D. M. H. Abraham. So right answer is A. The term heteroglossia, multiple choice, and social language with a novel is central to which theorists? Mihaly Bakhtin, Louis Arthus, Raymond William, and D. Tara Eggleton. So right answer is A. Mihaly Bakhtin. In I.A. Richards' practical criticism, what is a semantic analysis primarily concerned with? A. Meaning and ambiguity of word in the poem text, author biography, historical context only, and the economic determinants of literature. So right answer is A. Meaning and ambiguity of word in the poem and text. Which critic is associated with the canon war and argued for including marginalized voices in the literary canon? A. Edward Said, Jane Tompkins, revised critic of late 20th century, Kenneth Brooke exclusively, F.R. Lewis, or T.S. Eliot. So right answer is A. The poetic form terza rima, 3 lines stanza with interlocking rhyme, AB, AB, BC, BBC, CDC, was used famously by Dante, Geoffrey Chaucer, William Blake, or John Donne. So right answer is A. Dante in The Divine Comedy. Which novel is narrated by an unreliable first-person narrator who is both pitiable and monstrously deceptive? The Catcher in the Rye, Pride and Prejudice, C. Middlemarch, or Emma? So right answer is A. The Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield, Wuthering Heights, has complex narration. Classic example, The Turn of the Screw, ghostly ambiguity. For exam level pick, The Catcher in the Rye is often cited for unreliable narrator. In Marxist literature theory, base and superstructure denote respectively economic foundation, means of production, and cultural, political institution and ideas that arise from it. Poetry and prose, distinction only, superiority of the text over social condition, and D. Biological determination versus human agency. So right answer is A. The Wasteland use an epigraph from the Sanskrit Upanishad, or actual epigraph is from Petronius Ataru. I will show you fear in a handful of dust. Is from the Wasteland opening knife. Actually, this fragment I have shot against my ruins with quotation. The opening is from Petronius, where translation also include. So कहाँ से जो है ली गई है? A. Petronius, B. Homer, C. Ovid, or D. Dante. So right answer is A. Petronius. In narration, factualization refer to A. The perspective through which events are perceived rather than who tell. The chronology of events only, the author's intentional stance only, and D. Moral evolution only. So right answer is A. Which Victorian novel is noted for psychological realism and morally complex character? Author of Middlemarch. A. George Eliot, B. Thomas Hardy, and C. Charles Dickens, and D. William Makepeace Thackeray. So right answer is A. George Eliot, जिनका असली नाम मैरी एन इवांस था. Which poet pioneered metaphysical conceit exemplified of paradox and intellectual with? A. John Donne, B. William Wordsworth, C. William Blake, or D. John Keats. So right answer is A. John Donne. The term paratext include which of the following element? A. Preface, title, epigraph, dedication, contextual element that shape reading. Only the main text excluding from matter. Only author biography. Only footnotes in scholarly edition. So right answer is A. Which of these is not typically considered a feature of modernist literature? A. Linear chronology narrative, B. Fragment and collage, C. Stream and consciousness, and D. Experimental narrative technique. So right answer is A. Which dramatic form is characterized by low life character, satire, and social form and urban milieu, often associated with 20th century playwright Brecht and Beckett? A. Epic theatre, B. Absurdist drama, C. B. Elizabethan tragedy, or D. Pastoral comedy. So right answer is A. Absurdist drama. Stream of consciousness as a narrative technique aimed to present the continuous flow of a character mental pauses in an unfiltered way. B. Represent only external action without integrity. C. Provide objectivity portage only, and D. Summarize event in conventional chronological sequence. Right answer is A. Which of these novels use polyphonic narration to represent social heterogeneity? A. The God of Small Things, Bleak House. Best example, The Sound and Fury, God Small Things, Choose the Sound, and the Fury in Modern Philosophy. So right answer is A. The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. Post-structuralists argue that meaning in text is unstable and produced through different play of sign and interpretive context, be fixed and can be fully recovered by authorial inter. C. Scientifically measurable by textual frequencies only, or always identical across cultures. So right answer is A. Unstable and produced through different play of sign and interest context. The dramatic monologue as a lyric form is mostly associated with which poet? A. Robert Browning, B. Wordsworth, C. Blake, or D. Tennyson. So right answer is A. Robert Browning. Ekphrastic poetry typically respond to or describe work of visual art, is always written in blank verse, is limited to epic theme only, is synonymous with dramatic monologue. So right answer is A. So this was my last question. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment.